Hello class and welcome to Psych 101. Today we're going to be talking about operant conditioning. Before we start our lecture today, we're going to watch a quick video.
Are you finished?
Well, thank you. How thoughtful. Would you like a chocolate?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
What was that?
Oh, sorry, Sheldon. I almost sat in your spot.
Did you? I didn't notice. Have a chocolate.
Thank you.
You're here a lot now.
Oh, am I talking too much? I'm sorry. Zip.
Thank you. Chocolate?
Yes, please.
Okay, so what is going on in this video? Yeah, so every time that Penny did something that Sheldon liked, he rewarded her with a chocolate. So today we're going to continue our study of various psychological approaches. We're going to be looking at behavioral psychology. Now, the key players in behaviorism are Ivan Pavlov, John B. Watson, and B.F. Skinner. And they have all conducted experiments that look at various aspects of behaviorism. So we're going to learn about these later, but just in case you are curious, we're going to be looking at Pavlov's classical conditioning experiment, which they use doggies and food. We're going to look at Little Albert, an experiment that is might not be approved by the IRB today. And then today we're going to be looking at Skinner's Skinner box and his study of operant conditioning. And just as a timeline, behavioral psychology started in about 1913 when Watson opened the Behavioral School of Psychology. So John B. Watson was the founder of behaviorism. And behaviorism, it's a psychological approach that looks at behaviors elicited through the external environment. More specifically, behaviorists believed that only external behaviors could be studied systematically through both prediction and control. So before we can go into the ins and outs of operant conditioning, we need to understand different types of behaviors. So we're going to be looking at two types, respondent reflexive behaviors and operant behaviors. The term operant behaviors was developed by Skinner, who we'll learn about in a minute, and these are conscious and voluntary behaviors that occur willingly versus respondent or reflexive behaviors that are unconscious, they occur automatically, and they're involuntary. They just happen when they happen. So, for example, if you touch a hot stove, you're going to take your hand off very quickly so that you don't burn yourself. Versus operant behaviors, you can actually think, okay, I can do this behavior and I will do it. And the rate of operant behaviors are influenced by consequences. So this also relates to the concept of shaping. So this is establishing a new behavior that's not usually a natural behavior, such as pressing a button on a remote, and continually reinforcing it until the optimal behavior is elicited. So if I press this button on a remote and I get a chocolate like Penny, then I'll be more likely to press the remote faster and more often because every time I do, I get a yummy chocolate. Operant conditioning was based on Thorndike's law of effect, and this is a behaviorism concept that focuses on learning via behavioral consequences. More specifically, the law of effect states that a behavior followed by a pleasant consequence is more likely to be repeated. So a pleasant consequence could be that chocolate that Penny gets every time she does a behavior that Sheldon likes, versus a behavior followed by an unpleasant consequence, such as an electric shock. That is less likely to be repeated because you don't like the stimulus that follows. Skinner studied operant conditioning with his Skinner box. So this is Skinner's Skinner box. And right now we're going to learn about positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. So Skinner showed how positive reinforcement worked by placing a hungry rat in his Skinner box. The box contained a lever on the side, and as the rat moved about the box, it would accidentally knock the lever, right here. Immediately, as he knocked the lever, a food pellet would fall into the container next to the lever. The rats quickly learned to go straight to the lever after a few times of being put in the box. The consequence of receiving food if they pressed the lever ensured that they would repeat the action again and again. Skinner also used the Skinner box to show negative reinforcement. So he used the same lever, but instead of the lever eliciting or giving the rat a food pellet, the rat would come into the box and there would be a shock, and he would wander around the box until he hit the lever. Instead, the lever, when he pressed it, would make the electric shock turn off. The rats quickly learned to go straight to the lever after a few times of being put in the box. The consequence of escaping the electric current ensured that they would repeat the action again and again. So this is negative reinforcement. Now you'll see an example of each type of reinforcement and punishment with my puppy Tallulah.
Sit.
Okay, so who can explain what happened in this video? Yeah, great. Tallulah was in a room with no music, and then I told her to sit. And then when she sat, a song by Selena starts playing, and Tallulah loves Selena. Her behavior of sitting is strengthened because she learns that whenever she sits, she gets to hear a song by Selena.
Look at this photograph.
Okay, what about this video? So Tallulah's in a room where a song by Nickelback is playing, and Tallulah does not like Nickelback. So Tallulah starts barking because she is upset. She is sad. And then when she barks, the awful song stops. So Tallulah's behavior of barking is strengthened because she learns that every time she barks, the unpleasant song goes away. Okay, who can tell me what happened in positive punishment? Yep, you got it. Tallulah was barking a lot, and we were kind of getting a little annoyed because she was not being a good girl. So we know from the last example that she does not like songs by Nickelback. So because she was barking, we played this unpleasant music. Tallulah did not like this, so she stopped barking. Her behavior of barking is weakened because she knows that whenever she starts barking, we'll introduce this unpleasant stimulus. Tallulah just told me to eat my shorts. I'm taking away Mr. Penguin again. Alright, and last one, what happened here? Tallulah loves her cell phone, but sometimes she's not a nice girl and she sends her mom mean text messages. So, when she sent this mean text, we took away her favorite toy, Mr. Penguin, and gave it to her brother, Junior. Tallulah was very sad because she loves Mr. Penguin. Tallulah's behavior of texting mean things to her mom is weakened because she learns that every time she texts her mom mean things, Mr. Penguin will be taken away. Instead, she learns to send her mom nice texts, and then she gets to play with Mr. Penguin. For the last few minutes of class, we're going to look at reinforcement schedules. Reinforcement schedules show us how often a response behavior is elicited, so say how often Tallulah barks, and extinction rate, or how fast the behavior will stop if you stop getting rewarded. Okay, so now I want you all to pair up into groups, and I want each of you to take a different reinforcement schedule type. I want you to read about it in the book really quickly, learn about the response rate and extinction rates associated with these schedules, and then I want you guys to create a real-world example of this type of reinforcement schedule, and we'll just talk about it in class after you're done. So we're going to have a quick homework assignment just to make sure you all understand the concept. So what I want you to do is to create your own study looking at operant conditioning. I want you to include all of the variables, the subjects that you use. You can even look at interval schedules, I would suggest you do that. I want it to be about a page or two, and I just want it to show that you understand the concept of operant conditioning. It can be silly stuff, it can be using your puppies or chocolate or anything like that, but just show me that you understand the concept of operant conditioning. And then next class we'll have a few people present their ideas to the class. That's all the time we have for today, but we'll see you in next week's class, Psych 101.